Dominant market positions with broad product offerings, entrepreneurial focus when hiring senior management, and strong record of capital management and allocation. Now, this was my second case study that came off Amazon's case study, which Amazon have they have similar business models where they hire entrepreneurs to run each tier as though we're an individual business. So they maximize every output possible, and it optimizes the general umbrella.
Another question. Do these guys in their portfolio have a finance company?
Yes.
Because that becomes very strategic when you're building this.
If you go back up to what they acquired, it was one of their later ones, but open up the financial section. On a few now.
Question was Peña. So the case we went through yesterday here
Australia,
was very like numbers and the deals there, and he like that work with it. And what we brought,
so they have a banking financial
fluffy analysis and
PE almost
it's not
feel to it.
so specific. So I don't know if it's that relevant.
No, but I mean, you still come away. There's still takeaways from. I mean, the business school cases. It's just that the business school cases rarely come with as much detail as Deb's case. I mean, rarely. And that's why when the kids come out of business school, they don't know anything. That's exactly why.
Oh, that makes sense. Because I found mine at Copenhagen Business School. And when I look at that, and it's all like, what is this bullshit? Like, it's just so much information.
And then they take 2 years to do it.
Yeah.
Well, that's exactly what I mentioned to you in the last segment, Dan, is that my father's got an MBA. And even through these case studies and some of the things I've shown him on YouTube, he's convinced he's wasted his money, and we did it in 5 years in South Africa. It took 5 years to do it. Part-time, through any business school. So he can't believe what I learned in the 9 days as opposed to what he learned in 5 years. And it's all relative.
Yeah, I mean,
they don't just fucking do it.
No. And again, they don't teach you how to buy, sell, and there's virtually no leadership involved. And to lead the teams, you have to exhibit leadership skills. And I told you that our youngest son, when he was getting his MBA over 10 years ago, I mean, I don't know what the fuck he didn't learn anything really, other than he puts MBA after his name now. But other than that, he didn't learn anything. And that's why the talk I give at the schools, wealth, risk, reward, not, is because the system is busted. I mean, because they're not teaching anything that's really applicable. And that's why when a young MBA comes out of even the best schools, they're juniors in some big group of 15, 20, 25 people, and they do junior grunt spreadsheet work for 2-3 years, and then they become an associate, and by the time they know anything, it's because they spent 10 years out in the field looking at deals and being junior on deals, and then after 10 or 15 years, they become a senior manager, and then perhaps, if they stay long enough, they become partners or managing directors of these various firms. But it's a waste. And when the kids, when I go to the schools, they understand that. Other than at the Naval Academy, they're learning how to shoot rockets and submarines, and they're learning how to do something. But the system is busted. It just is, unfortunately. But it's not going to change. And then our system is not fee orientated, and that's why the Goldman Sachs and the JP Morgans of this world don't show you how to do this, because the real fees are associated with not just introducing you to a bank where you're going to get some sort of commercial debt. The real fees are, even though they're not really using equity, but it's the pretend equity that they use, and the advisory arms of the investment banks, and that's where I think Goldman Sachs and those major, what they're called bulge bracket firms, they generate 60-70% of their revenues off of fee generation. Whereas back when I was in that business 35, 40 years ago, the fee generation was 20-25%. Now the whole model's shifted. it shifted.
And they make it sound more complex than it really is.
Yeah.
Because that is the excuse to go get fees. Because they just use the bigger jargon, and if you distill it, it's not really rocket science. I mean,
No.
anyone can figure it out.
No, Marcus just went through a deal, and I remember because I helped him, took him 3 years to do, and he had already been out from the seminar 5 years, so it was from 2015 to 2018. This year he completed it, but everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. From having a prime contractor that's a year and a half into the deal that wound up not having a license. So all the work he had done for 19 months was undone because he didn't have the license that you need as a contractor. And so then all the subcontractors' work was gone, and all the subcontractor work was gone. And so Marcus had to start from scratch from the beginning. And and he has letters and emails that the subcontractor lied and said he had a license, but the license had been revoked. And so he had to do the project twice. And he had made commitments to the bank, and it was a nightmare. And but that was, he had already had 5 years of doing deals when he got into that deal. And he says, and he was telling the group just now, and I thought I was pretty smart. And now he checks. I want to see a verified photocopy of your license, with notarized.
2 forms of that.
Yeah. And so, and normally when a big contractor says you got a license, even I would assume they got a license.
But not in the U.S. You can check now. You go to the
Correct.
Better Business Bureau or whatever, and you can find out if they're, you can check real quick for the license, and they'll tell you certified, uncertified, probation, or whatever it is, revoked. You can find out. Okay.
So what does this case look like?
Well, this is Bidvest. It's an overview and an analysis. It's a public-run company, public traded in South Africa and JSE, but they operate in UK and Australia. Multi-facet, but their fingers in everything from food to rental vehicles to financial to agriculture, services in chemicals, household chemicals. Probably got, I think there's 44 acquisitions under their belt, and they are our longest reigning acquisition kings of South Africa. Even the food sector. So this is just was for myself an overview to see internal growth versus external growth. It's pretty evident as we go through it, but that's Bidvest.
How quick, Mr. Peña, would you look into the history of the business and yada yada until you say just let me see the paperwork, let me see the finance, let me see the numbers?
Well, I want to see the numbers first.
Verify.
And then I can, not that I fall in love, but then I can, if I'm going to fall in love, I'll fall in love with what they're doing after I see the numbers.
So here's the key financials and the statistics.
And just a summary of the financials. The top line. Now, it depends on, in Europe, they look at income before tax. In America, they look for income after tax. Okay? And what's the top line? What's the top line growth the last 2, 3, 4 years? And I always look at trailing. We can talk about their earnout based on projected earnings, but I'm going to base my hard ass number purchase price on what they produced. And sometimes I'll just look at 12 months because there's got a reason why the first and second year of a 3-year trailing earnings got fucked up. But if it's in healthcare, I'm almost always going to love it because I know healthcare has been hot and it's going to stay hot. If it's in cybersecurity, I know it's hot. And there's certain areas I know. But retail, construction, and things like that, mining are hard-ass businesses. Thin margins. Thin margins. And, pardon?
2%.
Yeah, that's tough. Yeah. And that's why, 60 or 70% of all, for example, in retail and restaurants, 67% of restaurants go out of business. 50, 60% of the bars. But I don't know how a bar can go out of business but they do.
Margins are so thin that it can't support the cash flow doesn't support this.
Correct. And but I look at, and then, I look at the management team that I'm going to keep. And the motivated seller's got to, he can't just be a motivated seller who's going to stay 6 to 18 months. He's got to be worth the shit. Because I've cut deals with guys that are going to stay 2 years, and after 2 months, I say, we both know this is not working out. We're going to adjust retrospectively the purchase price because you don't know what the fuck you're doing. And there's never an easy time to tell the seller that. And he'll like the fact that it's not working out and I want you out. He won't like the fact that we're going to readjust the purchase price.
Right.
Because now I don't have you to depend on to drive the business forward until I learn the business. That wasn't the deal. Mm-hmm. And that's a hard conversation to have. It's not impossible.
Is that normal legal?
No, he has to agree.
Yeah, okay.
If you're going to readjust the purchase price.
Yeah.
But the purchase price is based on the earn-out portion, on certain covenants. You're going to do this, you're going to come to work, blah, 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 you're going to
deliver these numbers.
Yeah, exactly.
That should all be in the SPA.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. And your in-house lawyer and your law firm will know that they can do that in their sleep. They know how to do that in their sleep. And but I go into the assumption that I don't believe anybody. I don't believe anything. I don't trust anybody. I don't trust anything. And I just because I've had the most prestigious, white shoe management that weren't worth a shit. Especially if I bought a business years ago that had a contract with Rolls-Royce for like 40, 50 years. And Rolls-Royce represented 40% of their top line and 80% of their profit.
Wow.
Yeah, but that contract finally expired, and they had renewed it every 3 years for clockwork for 15 times. I owned the fucking business. For my group, they decided not to renew it. Okay? And everybody forgot how to sell. We had sales and marketing guys, but nobody had done. All they would do were taking the Rolls Royce guys out the coffee, lunch, dinner, playing golf, skiing, but nobody knew how to sell anymore. And the world had passed them by. They were of another generation, 15, 20 years. They're still there, and now the world, the internet was part of marketing and sales. Nobody knew Google from the back of the door.
And you need those players, right?
Yeah,
It's
but in that particular case, I bought a pig and a poke. And I bought a lot of pigs and pokes before, but because you get enamored with Rolls Royce, they renew the contract 16 times every 3 years, for almost 50 years, yada yada. New manager comes in, Rolls Royce, they sold off Rolls Royce, I forget who. Does Tata own Rolls Royce now?
No, not Tata.
Reliance? No?
No, not Reliance.
Somebody. Okay. And they didn't give a shit how many times they renewed the contract. We're not renewing it now. And the renewal used to be perfunctory. It just happened.
Yeah. And I have an exact similar case where the Rolls Royce in my case is Reliance.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking at this company that they've got 40% of their revenue coming from Reliance, and it is renewed every 8 months. And the same thoughts are going through my mind. How do I protect myself? Because Reliance is a wonderful customer to have because it works and they are growing, but it's a significant chunk of the revenue.
And I guess also it's to get even more customers like you did with, I think it was Whipple, where you had IBM and you could cut everything off, you only had the big players and then you started building it up from there.
Yeah.
But that is different because you're still getting good quality customers. I think the one that you're saying is take out the small players.
I remember in the
Yeah, because 80% of our business came from 20% of our customers, and we got rid of all the other customers,
Correct.
and we just kept the prestigious AAA customers, and then we built and we added on other AAA prestigious customers using them as referrals.
That makes sense. But if 70% of your revenue is coming from 2 customers
Oh, yeah, okay.
of the 10%, then there's a problem.
Alright, that makes sense. Yeah.
Okay, I'll see you at 2:15.